What's up, guys? It's Manga Time once again. I'm here today to bring you my review of Bleach 600. Whoa, Snipe. This is quite a cool chapter title because if you didn't know, Snipe was the name the series was originally going to be called before Bleach. It was originally going to be called Snipe. And so while the chapter title clearly is referencing Lille Barro and what he does in this chapter and the end of last chapter, to me, I think it's probably a nice little reference, especially since we've just hit 600 chapters, which is an insane milestone for Kubo. Anyway, this week's chapter is pretty awesome. Again, the Royal Guard stuff is ramping up now, and it's just getting better and better. We start where we left off, and Lille Barro is aiming his rifle. We get a bit of a better look at it again. And once again, Kubo's not very good at drawing guns. He just never really has been. And Lille Barro's weird hair is actually a hat, which I think looks better. Anyway, yeah, he's aiming his gun. Remember, he's starting to X the X-axis, and it's interesting that his gun has like a cross on the end of it, but also the X-axis referring to the horizontal axis of him holding his rifle. And Shutara's there, and she has an enormous hole in her head, and her body just crumbles, basically. She just falls to the floor, and an enormous puddle of blood comes just out of her head. And I was like, again, this is just an amazing example of Kubo really ramping up the gore in this arc, because he can get away with it, because there's no anime. Before Lille Barro can do any more, however, he's called an idiot by Gerard Valkyrie, staring to M the Miracle, the one who looks like Thor. And he's like, what the hell are you doing? You've just killed her in front of His Majesty. Her blood is in his path. Hurry up and clean her. Hurry up and clean it away. And so Lille Barro asks Perna to Pankajas, staring to see the compulsory to clear her up. And we get another look at Pernida's mysterious powers in this chapter. It's really weird. Pernida kind of has the Force. She gets Senjumaru's body, and I'm just saying she, because Pernida, to me, strikes me as a girl's name. And I was pretty much certain that C would be a girl. Anyway, yeah, she gets Senjumaru's body, and it crunches up into a ball. It's very graphic, and it's pretty gross, actually. I think that's a bone sticking out, but maybe it's not. Whatever it is, it's pretty gross. And, I think Pernida uses her rolled-up body to wipe away the bloodstain, which is gross. Really gross. But what does this tell us about Pernida? It's kind of like a black hole. Like Senjumaru's body just crunches in on itself. So it's kind of like a black hole. What that has to do with the compulsory, I have no idea. Pernida mutters something again before Senjumaru gets crushed. So, I don't know. There's not a whole lot we can glean from that. Gerard comments, he was so fleeting. I can't believe that was the Zero Division. Then we get some really cool... We actually get a really cool bit from Lille, where he's like, was there anyone that has never died right away against us? And again, it just makes me want to know, give me some history on these guys, Kubo. Who have these guys fought that they've killed? Seriously, I want to know. Who have they fought that died right away against them? I want to know. Anyway, Lille Barro lifts up his rifle. We see it's actually massive, and he takes aim at the rest of the palaces. And yeah, he fires, and he fires and basically destroys the 5 cities. There is some really great artwork here. The cities just kind of rain down around him, just in flames. Yeah, and he's pretty immensely powerful, actually. But he basically turns around and he's like, with this, we've got everything out of the way, and he says, please pass, Your Majesty. But Yaharvark seems to know that something's amiss, and it turns out that Shutara is still alive. I did think she was dead at first when I read it. I was like, oh my god, and I was actually a little bit disappointed. This is one of those instances where I'm actually glad the good guys survived in the situation. Anyway, the sky lifts up, and it turns out that they've been surrounded by those same kind of banners of cloth that Senjumaru used against Nyanzol Weisel earlier. And yeah, so the cloths kind of lift up around them. And, Lille's like, what's going on? Where are we? What's happening? And these huge trees start to arise from the side. Senjumaru is still alive, and she basically says, this is a fake Soul Palace, and the real palace is hidden over there. Now, I don't know why the hell they would tell them where the palace is beyond me. But it doesn't really matter. And then So yeah, basically what's happened is everything around them was a fake. It was like drapes, basically. They were destroying a reality on drapes. But this is kind of interesting because we get to really get to see the abilities of some of the not the Sternritter, the Royal Guard at this point. It appears Senjumaru is able to like weave some kind of reality, because what was happening on those fabrics did actually occur. Lille was able to successfully shoot the cities down despite being in a different reality. So she can weave realities basically, which is really impressive. Then we get to see Ichibei, which is awesome. And he looks like he's going to be so great. Like, I'm serious, he looks awesome. Basically, he's painted a huge seal that has the word hidden on it, and it kind of reveals itself. The whole thing reveals itself, including the palace. And Osho's just kind of sitting there on the floor with an enormous paintbrush on his back, which is just awesomely cool. I think he's going to be really cool. So essentially he can like paint reality. She can weave it, he can paint it. He can like create realities, hide realities by painting it, which is just very cool in my opinion. I think he's going to be awesome. Presumably this is the same brush he uses to write the first names down, maybe? I don't really know. Anyway, when Ichibei reveals himself, Lille goes to shoot him. However, Ichibei comments that, the cage must be ready. And just as Lille Barro shoots, his bullet hits a tree, and these trees rise up really fast and surround the cage. And we find out there's actually Hikifune who's done this, and this is really awesome because now the Royal Guard are coming together, apart from Korinji, because apparently he's fucking useless. And, Hikifune is like, it's been a long time since I've done this, such a big confinement, and we see that she's trapped all of the Quincy, presumably all of them, and Senjumaru, because they're on the landing platform, inside this huge cage of wood. And it looks really awesome, actually. And you get this great line from Askin, where he's like, "Oh, what is this? What an eerie trick!" And, he looks quite funny, as usual. But Lille Barro is not having any of this, so he tries to shoot the trees down. But he quickly discerns, basically, that even if you hit the same point, it doesn't break. And if you try going through the spaces between the trees, branches come and stop the attacks. So Valkyrie kind of, he laughs at Lille, and he's like, it's a disgrace considering you say you can shoot through anything. But Hikifune corrects Valkyrie, and she's like, it is going through. And she basically explains that the trees they're alive, and the trees bore fruit after they received her Reiatsu, and now they have a taste for Reiatsu. And because Lille Barro's bullets are made from highly concentrated Reiatsu, the trees want to eat it. So whenever Lille Barro fires, the trees just eat his attack, and they grow even faster. So, basically, Hikifune is like, you can attack all you want, you're never getting out of the cage of life. So again, we've got like another Royal Guard power. Hikifune can essentially create life, with her Reiatsu. She can feed things. She's just immensely powerful. She creates this tree out of her hand. Seriously, the Royal Guard are actually turning out to be very impressive. Just their abilities are insane. We haven't seen Korinji yet, but I presume he has something to do with either water or light, since that is his Zanpakuto appears to be light-based, but his invention is water-based, so that'll be interesting to see later on. Anyway, yeah, so the Quincy seem to be trapped inside this cage. However, before we move on any further, I'd just like to bring up something. Hikifune says that if they send Reiatsu into the tree, there's no way they'll escape. So what's the opposite of that? Taking Reiatsu. Slavery. I think that's how they're going to break free. It makes sense for Kubo to finally bring this back after it's been missing in action since Courage did it against the Tre Bestias in Huecamundo all that time ago. Suddenly, I reckon he might bring it back. They're going to slavery and the cage is going to collapse. I don't think the cage is going to be around that long, to be honest. Or it might be, I don't know, because they're about to get into a fight, so maybe when they finish up this fight, they'll slavery the tree. Anyway, yeah, so I think they'll slavery. Anyway, Ouetsu arrives, and it's really freaking weird. He's got his Zanpakuto inside a cube of water. And I kind of feel like the reasoning behind this, maybe he's just forged this sword. That's one thing. Another is that if I was right in my prediction ages ago, and Mera, the kind of feisty Zanpakuto in his palace is actually his Zanpakuto. She blows fire. So if he has a fire Zanpakuto, maybe he has to keep it in this water to really cool it down before he can use it. I don't know, I'm just spitballing. I have no idea. But basically he's like, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, and they all like kind of look at him asking, gives him a funny look. And he draws the sword from the water, and looking like a bit of a badass, actually, he says, shut up and all of you come at me. The fight of the Zero Division, the fight of the Zero Division starts here. And he's all sinisterly shadowed and everything, and yeah, it looks awesome. It looks really cool. And that's the end of the chapter. So yeah, wow, shit's getting real, basically. Things are just going to hell. The Quincy thought they were having a nice little advance, but the Royal Guard have basically got the better of them, at least at the moment anyway. And it's nice to see that Senjimaru actually hasn't died. Although I would be surprised if we don't get a Royal Guard division death, either sooner or later, but I'm thinking maybe sooner. But it's nice to see them putting up an offensive. It's nice to see their abilities kind of coming out and, in flux and really getting to see what they can do. And it's some pretty impressive shit, like Ichibei painting the massive seal in the sky to hide the palace, and Hikifune creating the cage of life, and Senjimaru weaving these realities. They're basically really awesome. And it's cool to get a bit more info on the Sturmritter as well, like Pernida basically being a walking black hole. I'm pretty sure that's what she is. And Lille Barro being some awesome sniper. And basically the characters in this are all really unique, really awesome, and really well designed. It's like Kubo saved some of his best Sturmritter designs for now, and the Royal Guard I've always said flat out, they've had some of the best designs in the series. So yeah, it's just really great to see these characters meshing together. The artwork was really good again this week. Kubo does seem to kind of be going all out with the Royal Realm, which frankly is what we want to see. As far as the future goes, I don't really know. I don't know when Ichigo's going to arrive, and I don't know what he's going to do if he does arrive. He's probably going to get his arse handed to him, I think. Because I don't know how long it's going to take Ichigo to get there. That's the question. Maybe about the same amount of time it took him to get to Vanderreich before, in which case it's quite a while. And I think Yuhava and the others may make it to the king before then. And Ichigo might arrive and see the place just in ruin. I really, really, really want the Quincy to take the Royal Palace. I really want them to do it, because I think that would lead to the most interesting outcome for the story as a whole. We may end up just getting a repeat of Aizen if Yuharvark fails to even kill the king, What I'm kind of saying is that Aizen, he had his plan and he was making headways with it, but he didn't make it. He didn't finish his plan. This is the final arc. We need the bad guy to finish his plan so that the shit gets as real as possible, That's kind of what I want to see. I want to see the Royal Guard fall. I want to see the palace fall. And I think that's probably what's going to happen. It might just take a little while. But anyway, that's it for this week's chapter, guys. I'm going to drop another 9 on this one. Again, it's just a really great chapter. Actually, I dropped a 10 last week, so I don't know why I'm saying another 9. And this one gets a 9. A really great chapter. Awesome artwork. And although the progression is a little bit slow, it's just great. What's in it is great. That's kind of the main thing. So yeah, congratulations, Kubo, on 600 chapters. I personally, this is my prediction, I think we'll see 700. But, we'll see about that. That's not for a while yet, if that's the case. Anyway, that's it for this week's chapter, guys. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of this week's chapter. What do you think of the Royal Guard's counter-attack? And what do you think of the kind of individual elite Sturmritter? We're getting slight insights into their characters ever so slowly. And, it's Kubo, and the way he's been treating some of the Sturmritters, I can't promise anything. I really hope these guys will get some serious screen time, get some backstories, get some whatever, but, it might not happen. And another thing is, when are we going to go back down below? When are we going to see Basby? When are we going to see Lil Toto? When are we going to see the others, if they're still alive or not? It's all going to be very interesting to see. But yeah, that's it for this week, guys. I'm going to give it a 9. As always, please subscribe if you like what you saw. That'd be really great, and give it a thumbs up. But until next week, guys, see ya.